Oh, it is. It's on. Hello, everyone. Can I get everyone's attention? Because I know you're busy eating pizza, which is awesome, and I'm glad everyone came today. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I'm Max Frank, and I'm the director of the Maji Center here at NAIT. We are a center that helps all of NAIT's students to become more aware of what entrepreneurship is and to get into the entrepreneurship mindset. So we deliver programming and support to students that might want to dabble in entrepreneurship or work for an entrepreneur or just understand a little bit more about business as they move through their career. So we're here to help, and we're located here in CAT, and we actually support, again, all of NAIT. So part of our programming this year has been around bringing some really successful people that are in our community here, in our backyards, that have built out successful companies and brought skills that we feel are detrimental to building out a business. And one of them is around leadership. So we have a very successful leader here at NAIT, and I'd like to introduce him. Of course, he always introduces himself as the CEO and our cheerleader here at NAIT, Glenn Feltham. So I'll just read you a little bit about Glenn.
Oh, that's fine.
No, I won't read you anything about Glenn, but without further ado, he'll introduce our guest for the day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You guys hear me in the back? Yeah. Okay, good stuff. I just went on the internet to search for Fountain Tire, and I saw Alberta March 2019 still snowing. And then we go to, there's still a lot of winter left. So thanks for that. Thank you, Max. I understand everyone is here for the 3 for the price of 4 sale. But it is wonderful to be here today. As is our tradition, I'd like to start by honoring and acknowledging that we're on traditional Treaty 6 territory, an important trading center for the Métis Nation. It really is a great pleasure to introduce a personal friend and a close friend of Nate's, Mr. Brent Hesje. He was on our board for several years before I finally figured out exactly how to pronounce his name. It's kind of like sneezing. Hesje. But Brent is CEO of Fountain Tire, an Edmonton-based privately owned tire business that ranks in the top 10 tire chains in North America. While Brent is CEO of one of the largest and most successful tire chains on this planet, he is probably one of the least capable people to tire. But his success both in his business and in his support of NAIT have been nothing less than inspirational. Brent's ties to NAIT run very, very deeply. He's an incredible champion both of NAIT and of polytechnics and polytechnic education. He joined our board in 2008 and became chair in October 2013. He was part of building this building from the ground up. So when I was chatting with Brent a few minutes ago, he was looking at the room and going, turned out pretty nice. Next time you're also going through the building looking for a study space, one of the nicest ones is in honor of Brent and his spouse, and now we know how to pronounce it too. He chaired our capital campaign for Essential Need campaign, the largest campaign in the history of our institution. We raised in excess of $125 million. He continues to provide his time and his expertise. He's being on the advisory group for the Productivity and Innovation Center. His leadership and passion for polytechnic education really has helped put me on this path to achieving our amazing vision. Brent's impact on business is felt by so many. He has received the Northern Lights Award of Distinction, the highest honor given by the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce. He's chair of the Automotive Industry Association of Canada. And he's one of the best leaders I've ever had the opportunity to know and to work with. He is
Thanks very much for being here today. I really appreciate your investment of time. I appreciate the risk you're taking that you may in fact learn something from a tire dealer. I don't know if that's a good risk or not, but I'm very pleased to be here to represent Fountain Tire. We think we're a little different than a typical tire dealer. In fact, we think we're quite different opportunity-wise from any corporation that we've met. And that is that our model, to quickly cover it, and I'll get into more detail later, is an opportunity to own 50% of a business. And so it can be called a franchise. It can look like a franchise, but it's not. Each of our store partners, the aspiration that they would own 50% of the business. We have some here today. We'll talk about Dave and Corey a little bit later. And then the corporate entity that I do represent, we own the other 50%, and our aspiration is, in a good year, we break even. So the only way that anyone that's an owner in our company, or the way our company succeeds, the way it's lined up, is the stores have to succeed. And in our business, the only way the stores succeed for a sustainable long period of time takes a lot of intelligence, ambition, and most of all, integrity. And those are quite foundational to our business. My calendar right now says that I'm meeting with a Tier 1 supplier, and that's true. Though we are Goodyear's largest customer in Canada, to me, the most important supplier for our company presently and well into the future are polytechnic schools, and particularly NAIT. Because we like the hands-on learning approach that applies to polytechnics. That's exactly what we need for our stores to succeed. We need hands-on, playing coach kind of mentality. And we just love that we create this opportunity for people to own a business of a Canadian corporation. The thing we like to get accused of the most by our board of directors is they think we're crazy about how cheap we make it for someone to enter and invest in a business. So basically, we have lots of tires to achieve our vision as we keep marching across the country. But what we really need and don't have enough of are lots of business owners who can lead. And our company's first 63 years have been getting those leaders from within, but we're starting to cast our net wider, and we want to go to a lot more post-secondary schools, because the fact that you're here has a key element that you have a hunger and thirst for learning. So that's very important for us. But I'm not here for the whole talk to maybe shamefully convince you to be part of Fountain Tire one day. I'm also here to been asked to share some lessons on leadership. And so I'll take you through really three things. My experience on leadership, the Fountain Tire ownership experience, and a drive program that we have to accelerate the likelihood of success if someone decides to be a partner within our company. It was very tricky for me when I saw the topic today. It's called, I think, Lead Like a Boss. So I would say my leadership career, I've hopefully never been accused of being a boss. I've always considered it a four-letter word. But when you're my age, and I'm the same age as Nate, I always have to take these things and Google them, because it might have a more current meaning. And I found that it does. You could correct me. And along those lines of correcting me, please at any time put your hand up, nod. If you have a question, don't worry about it. I really like this to be for you, so if we can tailor this as much as possible, we'd appreciate it. Because my opinion and definition has been a boss drives employees and a leader coaches them. A boss counts on authority to get things done, and a leader counts on goodwill. But when I did this old guy audit and Googled it, talked about boss as something, or someone does something really well. Well, I don't know if I lead really well, but that might be a sign of a leader, that you never really feel that you've even got close to what good leadership is. But I can sign up for that. If that's what like a boss means now, I'm happy to talk about that. And the example was, I will teach you to draw like a boss. So I thought, okay, I can sign up for this title and try and build a presentation around it. So let's get to the first item that I mentioned, and that's my leadership experience. It's appropriate and maybe ironic that I'm here talking about my leadership experience, because the two bookends of it pertain to post-secondary schools. So my first leadership experience, and a lot of it is really moments of being humbled. My first leadership experience is despite people wanting to have a recount, shocked everyone and was elected the president of the Commerce Student Society at the University of Saskatchewan. And I thought, wow, the world's finally noticed how amazing I am. And so I was called into the dean's office. He lives in Edmonton now, Dean Brennan. And I came in, and he's a smiley guy. He wasn't smiling. He shut the door, and he folded his arms in front of him and said, Brent Hesje, you are not the man we had in mind for the job. And I was shocked, and he said, you don't treat education with the respect we expect. You don't go to class. You don't, and so I grew up immensely that day. I continue to be good friends with that dean. And what I learned on leadership that day is that leadership requires fellowship, and you really have to be reflective on all the stakeholders that you need to think about in fellowship. It never occurred to me that support of the professors, support of the faculty, to me it was just remember all the students' names you can so they like you and they'll vote for you. That was a really humbling moment about leadership, let's say not being about elitism, but about the opportunity to serve, and there's many stakeholders, and I've never forgotten that, and it's served me well. The other end of the bookend was my incredibly enjoyable time being part of NAIT. It was a great honor, and I will say the board of the day, and the board continues to do this, and with the inspirational possibility thinking of Glenn Feltham's leadership, is the reason we sit in this building today. And so my leadership lesson there at post-secondary, so these are not for-profit businesses, the University of Saskatchewan or the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. But I've learned two incredible leadership lessons by being involved with them. And the NAIT one was just the importance of being a positive, enthusiastic possibility thinker like Dr. Feltham. So now my leadership approach is kind of inspired by a country song, Life's a Dance. John, is that John? I don't know who it is. But the words, life's a dance, you learn as you go, sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow. And I think that's been a really important thing for me to consider. I've learned a lot as a leader by following. There's sometimes you have to do that. But I really put it into three buckets. I'll take you through three experiences. I think you have to lead with your head. I think you have to lead with your heart. And I think you have to lead with your hands. And the people that lead at Fountain Tire typically can do all three of those, but usually there's a little bit more of a skew to one of them in particular. But my experiences on that, if I can put them in those buckets, my first experience of leading with my head was when I joined Procter Gamble in 1992. Boy, that sounds old. Huh? You almost want to say, after the war in 1992, I joined. At the time, I came to the company from Procter Gamble, a place where you stayed up late and passionately talked about fabric softener and all kinds of fascinating things. It was a different culture for a guy who'd grown up from Saskatchewan. I came to Fountain Tire, and Goodyear at the time had a spokesperson that was using humor to sell automotive aftermarket products like tires, mechanical service. And the people in Fountain Tire, and he was really representing our brand. You don't need to know his name, but it was Tom Sharp. He was not very popular internally from the people in the company. Most of the store partners in the company thought he made light of their very important work, and this is important work. Putting on tire is like dealing with a bomb. We have people in our stores right now dealing with bombs. So it's very important work. And the marketing approach of Tom Sharp's campaign was to make light of that and to make it humorous. But the strategic part of it was that this is a grudge purchase. So if we could make it a little more enjoyable, so we had this funny guy, Tom Sharp, we had air miles, and at least a few enjoyable things when you come in and unexpectedly have to spend $800 on your engine. So I could have been very popular out of the chute by getting rid of Tom Sharp. And if I'd have gone with my heart, I think I'd have done that. But my time at Procter Gamble was so technically intense and so head-driven, that leadership, that I had to check in on the research. Got some research done, phoned the Mr. Clean brand manager back in Toronto and showed him these results. And he said, what's your budget? And the budget we had was just absolutely 1% of what the Mr. Clean brand would have had. And he said, we can't get results like that. And so what it showed is that we could spend 40% less than our competitors and get the right kind of lift for the business. So that was a moment. I don't have a long list of moments where I used my head that way, apparently. But that was one where, in reflecting on this, where using my head made sense. The one on heart was a tougher leadership moment. Very early in my role as, I guess before I was the CEO, I was the president. First 10 days, getting back to people working on bombs, we had an associate killed by a bomb, by a tire exploding. And we were in a room, and I was so kind of out of my element. We had lawyers there doing a great job, talking about protecting the brand, protecting the company. And to me, this wasn't time for using your head. This was time to acknowledge that there was a little boy in a town in Alberta that didn't have a dad. And that no one in Fountain Tire woke up that day to have anyone hurt. And so we just, and we looked at what the facts were, and we were in error. And the best thing to do was admit it. And so that was a moment of leading with the heart. That was a moment where, a moment of truth for our brand and for our company. It's a dark day in our history. We worked very, very hard to learn from it and not be in vain. We're a much safer organization than we've ever been, and we're still not near safe enough as we want to be. But again, I think a moment of leadership that comes more from the heart. And then the final part of those buckets is hands, using your hands. I don't know. No one ever really laughed at this joke at NAIT, but let me try it again. I was always, maybe that's all I needed to say. I always found it ironic that I worked with NAIT on the board, and I really love the element of hands-on education, and I got to tell you, it takes me a very long weekend to build a barbecue. So it's not something I'm particularly good at, but I admire. I guess there are moments, I thought of a couple stories where I've used my hands, and they're more on strategy and grabbing a flip chart. But what really, really emphasizes the use of hands at Fountain Tire are these great playing coaches here. So to the left is Corey Yarmick. He has the store we call Commonwealth. It's very close to here. It formerly was a Midas. It was one that had a long history of abysmal results, but the yellow paint and the blue and our sign didn't make it profitable. Corey did. And Corey does it because he's a hands-on leader. And in our company, that's why we are not looking for investors in Fountain Tire. We're looking for owners. And our opinion of owners are they put some skin in the game, but they also put themselves in the game every day. So it's not like this remote leadership or management. So Corey, you have a science degree from the University of Alberta, right? And I'm very delighted to be Corey's partner. Actually, Corey and I are directors in his business. Corey is the president of Fountain Tire Limited Commonwealth, and I'm the secretary. And that's the way all our companies are set up. Next to Corey is David Wilson. He is a proud NAIT alum. And I'm not a NAIT alum, so I should maybe give me some to have them more than I, but David, I think, is a great example, and throughout our company, there are so many people that have gone to NAIT. Dave is one of them. He's a big-time hands-on leader in the company. He has a store in the southeast part of Edmonton, and that thing just hits benchmarks year after year and is a shining example of representing our brand properly and getting amazing return on investment year after year. So we're very happy for Dave's success. I was asked, it was in Ernest's dining room. A long time ago, we were at a board retreat. don't know if Randy were, it might have been before you gents were on the board, but the thing was, what's the best part of your job? And you know, I'm proud of my answer, but I was surprised that I gave it. And it was when one of our 50% owners makes their first $1 million. So, when they make their second, they get a little annoying and full of themselves. But no, it's awesome. It's awesome. And so at Fountain Tire, we are not a company that believes everyone's an owner, and not everyone wants to own, and we have some incredibly talented people that haven't owned and won't own, and they're absolutely critical to the success of the company. I'm an owner in the corporate part of the business, but when folks like Corey and David win, we win financially, but bigger than that, our sign is stronger, our brand is stronger, and that continues to be the best part of my job. So I would like to get into a little bit of the hard part. The second part is the Fountain Tire ownership model. And I'll ask if Dave Grant would mind coming up and teeing up a manifesto we have. But I think rather than me using a whole bunch of words, I think that this video, maybe 3 to 4 minutes, gives you a sense of what is good about our company. The video about what's not so good about our company we haven't created yet. Anyone have any questions while this is coming up so far? Yeah, good.
Sometimes it's easy to consider vehicles as just machines, powered by spark plugs, engines, and transmissions. But people use those vehicles to run their lives, for work, for play, and everything in between. At Fountain Tire, vehicles are our business, but our driving force is partnerships with people. Because people are our customers, our support system, our teammates. Our company is built on partnerships. That means shared goals, working together, taking ownership. That's how we treat our customers, like partners. They run the vehicle, we look after it. We take tire and auto service off their plate by making their problems our problems. And by being invested in their business, like it's our business. We solve problems not for, but with our customers, so they never have to solve them on their own. Each and every day, people and businesses rely on us for our expertise, our support, and to get them back on their way, to their lives, to their livelihoods. That's what partnership means to us. We're stronger when we work together. We all have a role to play in this partnership, keeping Canadians behind the wheel, feeling safe, and businesses rolling with confidence for their journeys ahead. A partnership with all of us working together like a well-oiled machine. And that's something we know a thing or two about. At Fountain Tire, we never lose sight of what drives us all forward. We're on this road together.
Thanks, Dave. So some of the elements of our structure that I think are real strengths if you're going to want to be a business owner is we have a defined way that people financially enter into owning 50% of a business, and we have a defined way of how they exit. So recently one of our store partners was at the Rocky Mountain Business Seminar with the U of A and talked about, this is something we didn't know, he talked about his parents in Ontario had a retail store of some kind, I don't know what type it was, and they'd really worked all their lives to build up a good business, but then were very disappointed and shocked at the lack of value it possessed when they went to exit. And so he shared with the group about how that was really important element of him being a partner in Fountain Tire. And it's something that we don't want to take for granted. So that's a real strength. The other thing, the way we have it is there's an investment made. There's, of course, the salary to keep the living expenses going. There's a very defined bonus, and then there is an element of dividends. So it runs very much like a business. These can be incredibly profitable, and they can lose an incredible amount of money as well. So So those are all those adrenaline parts about business that I liked. I love my time working for a blue chip company, but not one day have it felt like it does at Fountain Tire when you're owning and you've got this chance to win, chance to lose. And the great thing is in business, the only way you can get there is with transparency and high integrity to make sure that you make sustainable profit. So it's a fun place to be. The thing we take care of, I guess what we're up to, is we as an office have to justify our expensive existence. So what we try to do is take things off the plate to allow the store partner to service the customer, and then we can go on with doing things like dealing with supply chain and making sure that we have tires at the right place at the right time. We have never had an 8 out of 10 year on that. It still continues to be a major struggle in our industry, but we're working on it. I made those comments for those guys because we are often short on the products. Our accounting, the expenses, the taxes, the dealing with payroll, the office that you might see at Ellerslie and Calgary Trail does all that. Legal and safety, you know how we feel about safety after learning the hard way. The whole marketing branding exercise is led at the office with lots of input from the field. And so it's a model that allows people to do what they do best. If it's kind of built in a person to serve others, to make sure that people safely get where they need to go, this is a really cool business to be involved with. On the low end today, if you take over a business that isn't profitable that we have, or if we take a piece of dirt and do a ground-up build, the financial requirement is $50,000 from that partner. So it can be quite low on the new store side, but if it's an established store generating predictable profit, there's a different kind of goodwill multiple, which is 2 years profitability is how we work on goodwill. So what we have learned, and this gets me to the final piece I wanted to cover, because I did say we'd talk about leadership experiences, talk about the ownership model. And so the third thing is our DRIVE program. And the DRIVE program, what is an analogy? Maybe it's like the minors for the NHL, but it's bigger than that in my view, because it's about mitigating the risk of having big losses in a 50-50 business. Because like I said, these stores can lose money as fast as they can make money. Gentlemen like these, to me, they're magicians. I don't know how they do it. I've looked at, through this Automotive Industry Association of Canada, major research on what defines a really great leader in these businesses. And the logical conclusion this extremely logical person came up with were these words: they're magicians. And so we haven't quite found exactly what those characteristics are. But what we think they are, we teach them. And it's called the DRIVE program. And we teach those things before they own. And we show lots of some of the success of the DRIVE program. So if someone gets into that slip, and now we're exploring the likelihood of being an owner. Some of the great things the DRIVE program does is it concludes that this person shouldn't be an owner of a Fountain Tire business. And that's a good thing. Because if you own 50% of a Fountain Tire business, when you retire at 50, you don't want to have to be writing us a check for a negative equity. So we want to do everything in our power to make them win. So back to what I said at the start, this is why the NAIT and Polytechnics to us are major suppliers. We need people to operate and lead our businesses, and we feel we have a responsibility to teach them about the pitfalls and preparedness to be an owner. And that's our newest program. So you can see it's our biggest strategic endeavor, is to create space for more leaders that win in the field. And so we call it the DRIVE program. And maybe, Dave, I can get you to help tee that up as well. You can see the team here won't let me touch anything mechanical. I want to. No.
I gotta be good for something here. Right?
Yeah.
As valued members of the Fountain Tire team, we want to see all of our associates succeed. Do you want to build your skill set? Are you ready to advance your career? Do you aspire to own your own store? Introducing Drive, a program designed to help associates like you become leaders. No matter your level of experience, the Drive program will help you develop the skills needed to manage your own store. If you're ready to own your future, the Drive program is for you. As a driver in the program, your manager will help coach you through the learning objectives, and you'll work towards becoming a local Fountain Tire owner. If you have the drive, you can get started in a few easy steps. As a joint commitment between you and your manager, once you're selected into the program, you're ready to get started. Along the road to ownership, you'll complete learning objectives that will cover all the important topics you need to be a successful manager. You and your coach may also identify other topics that will get you ready to own your own store. Throughout the development phase, you will have tools and resources available, and you'll be able to track your progress in the Drive Tracker. These tools will provide you with guidance on what you need to learn and validate your progress. Once you and your manager are confident you've completed a learning objective, you'll be tested on it and ready to move on to another one. When all your learning objectives have been validated, you're ready to graduate, and you'll be one step closer to applying for your Fountain Tire store and owning your future. Talk to your store manager today.
So we have, I forget the number, maybe 36 people. What is it, Aaron, in the Drive program today? 60. Yeah, 60. So 60 people in the Drive program, and we need all of them because we've got a lot of folks retiring from the business over the next little while, and so it's so this whole where you are today. I know all of you know this. It's just a life of learning. We as a company are certainly transitioning to. There was a time when tire, and I'll say it, tire men ran our stores. We're in an era now where business people run our stores. And we have a lot of opportunities. The thing that really stands out and is not reflective of our customer base that we're working on is 50% of our customers are women. Less than 1% of our store partners are women. So that's a really big opportunity for us at Fountain Tire. So just to kind of end things out on entrepreneurship. In Fountain Tire, the real entrepreneur that we honor is a person I never met. I never met Bill Fountain, but Bill Fountain and his brother Jack, they opened a store in Wainwright, Alberta. It was the first Fountain Tire store. The first Fountain Tire store was a 50-50 partnership between two brothers. That was many years ago, and so we think, was the entrepreneur. He saw a need in the marketplace to offer 24-hour tire service for farmers during the spring and the fall, and then beyond that, we've just tried to refine the model that he so wisely put together. And with all of you, I think it's really exciting that you've decided to park yourself here today to be around a part of the NAIT Institute that is focusing on entrepreneurship. I think it's something that polytechnics have their sights on in a lot stronger way than other post-secondary streams. And I think a combination of this insightful, this intellectual, this head part you're putting in, combine it with your heart and your hands-on energy, no matter where you will go as an entrepreneur. I suspect with those three things in mind, you'll have great success, and I wish you all the luck, and thanks for your attention. It'd be great if you had a question. Yes, sir. I think it is. I think it is. I have about 4 to 5 people a year that come and talk to me about with their business, wanting to set up a 50-50 model, and I talk them out of it. But I think because it's not just a legal document, it's actually a culture. Because I'm sure the day will come. We've never had a legal dispute in any kind on valuation when people come in and exit. We have a very easy way to get in, a very easy way to exit, because people, I think, at exit time think a lot more about the logo on the front than the name on the back. We really have that embedded in our culture. So I think if we at that office at Ellerslie Road and Calgary Trail have any skill that would be portable, it might be to take another industry on, because there are some fundamentals at that level, but it is a culture you need to install. And we've had people from at one point we had a private equity company look at us, and they do about 20 days of due diligence and come back and go, you guys really are 50-50, because they thought we would have that hammer 51-49. So, but yes, I think with our involvement, I think there's a way we could get into other industries. We just have a long way to go still in the industry that we're in.
You're not in the consulting business.
Pardon me?
I said you're not in the consulting business.
Yeah, we aren't, I guess. That's not our primary role. Yeah, for sure. But we are in the business of creating opportunities to have more private Canadian companies. We have 160 today, and we probably think with our computer system and our capability, we think we can double that in stores, so we continue to keep moving into Ontario. Please, any other question? Be great. Yes.
So, is it based on average score?
Yeah, it's on that store's past 3-year average. Yeah. That's how we do it. And so, and in Fountain Tire, you get out the way you get in. So, not that long ago, we had a thing where all we wanted was $10,000 for goodwill. So in that formula, that $10,000 gets paid out when you retire. That's the goodwill payout. Got in putting in 10,000, exit with 10,000, plus 50% of all the book value appreciation. The newer formula, because our sign and program became more valuable, we moved it to 2 years. So that factor of 2 years, 50%, 2 years, is how we pay on the exit as well. So if someone really takes that profitability up, they get 50% of the book value growth in the time of ownership, and then a factor of their final 3 years average at 2. That's how we have it set up. I think our CFO would be proud of the way I just explained that. Yes, sorry. What? Yes, sir.
My question is for the magicians here.
Great.
What's your strategic approach to young generation? What are you using social media?
Facebook, on the side, like we our company, we take a budget, let's say that we have a model inside, a lot of this stuff is done. It takes it off your plate, and there's a marketing team at our office is involved with them, so on that end. So I mean, like the HR, payroll, marketing, we do pay a fee per month that goes to our head office, and like you said, a break even. We add ourselves up to over some at the head office level, but then they're using their team at that asset. Yeah.
Corporate essentially pays for all.
Corporate handles, minority, advertising.
Their focus is in business. That's where they gives you more time to focus on the business.
Personal touches, like, maybe,
And then we're more stewards of the money the stores give us to do the marketing. Because there is a program fee that the stores are charged, and then there's a marketing fee. It's a percentage of top line sales. And so that goes into a pool for marketing. We get suppliers in lots of cases match into that. So then together we have a large pool, and then we will start to have a marketing plan. And so over time, you know, our television spend is shrunk, our digital spend is increasing. We just spent some time meeting with the folks at Alta ML about AI possibilities on pricing. So we're on that. But the one thing I do find with, if you go into Dave's store, or Corey's, or stores I've been in, the magician part is like there's one customer being text, and there's a text going on. There's a traditional telephone going on. There's a face-to-face going on, and there's an email going on. So you kind of serve those customers whichever way they want to be served. Yes?
And my question is for this Tom Silent guy. I'm just curious, you know, we've all had, you know, I've got extreme faith in the brand. And I absolutely love that. They're at high school. It's working out hard. That's the stuff, right? Yours? Fellowship? Passion, progression, problem solving, helping people. It's easy to improve up. They're strong enough. On executive, tired. That was, all my development's been with them. Person at the office, partner in that store.
And Brent, it's a great leader, but I mean, everybody is in every area of business. There's a lot of leaders. It's not just one guy who leads. It's everybody. You know, the word or the control.
Yeah, David Jansen, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he's
Yeah.
on our finance, he's CFO of the company. I mean, it's a lot of people in the company that are very intelligent people.
See that, I love that, that explanation is so reflective of our company, because when Dave was moving his way up, his CEO was that store president, right, that store manager. And that's what's very, very different about our company. So now at our level, it truly emanates in our culture, like we're partners. So it's, some people, some really bright people will come in and work in our corporate office, and they never really get that difference, and they can't stay. You got to get that it isn't just a one CEO show. It's a very decentralized leadership and ownership model that we have. Carlos, right? Yeah, a very customer intimate company we have is called Fountain Tire Mine Service. So that's when we're the leader has a minority position in it. We have a majority position in it. And so it will go and deal with mine sites where there isn't a store nearby. On the other hand, we have certain markets like Timmins, Esterhazy, Red Lake, Thunder Bay, Wawa, where the store will be quite hands-on in that mining. So we're working, one of our big targeted action plans right now is to more fully integrate the off-the-road tire business in. Now, when you get into the oil sands and things like that, there can be relationships where the tire manufacturer is direct into that mine, and then we get a commission and get paid for certain service on it. Yes. Sorry, I'm not very good at, this is like to the old board meeting days, right? I got to write down one.
You guys are obviously into mechanical as well as selling tires.
Uh-huh.
Is the tire supply part of your business more of an off-site thing, like I'm not mining the property, but I work in the industry tire transport and it's a home office. So that industry where they do it in all automotive or mining, how big is your transport side?
It's big, yeah. Like we're kind of breaking into industrial, would be this big, large stuff, and we might even throw farm in there. You know, these industrial kind of tires, off-the-road tires. Then we would throw in what we would call commercial, so that would be to do with semis and line haul and off the road and all those kind of things. And then we would have more of the retail or light vehicle, and we're really approaching a third on those things. We do brand ourselves very much like a retail organization, but the majority of our business comes from commercial and industrial on the sales side. We're about $700 million top line company. Yeah.
I know you guys are a big tire supplier. So you guys have like
we have 5 retread plants, so we are into retreading. We do our best to always support tire stewardship programs that are across the different provinces, so we're very involved in that piece of it. So we're not to the point where we're find ourselves super proactive on this, but our retreading and our collaborative work we do with the Tired Steward program, where we take very seriously. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Yeah, a couple things we're looking at. The other thing I didn't mention, Goodyear has a minority position in our company. So we have great resources. Like, there's been years where that's been annoying. With all the disruption going on, it's starting to be comforting because they are really spending R&D wise on a lot of things to do with store formats. You know, so they have they're testing things like you simply have a kiosk in a mall, and you're moving vehicles maybe not to a traditional kind of real estate footprint to get them serviced. What we'll do on our side, by the end of the year, we'll be testing, we have this assumption that when autonomous cars are in play, that we could have vehicles coming up for service without people in them. And we think that's something we could do in a more industrial, cheaper real estate area and do that overnight. The other thing we're doing strategically is if consumption of personal mobility really moves into subscription. So for the first quarter of the year, I want a Corvette. For the next quarter, I want an SUV, and I'm just buying it like I buy cable. We are really putting strategic strength into our corporate fleet sales force, because there could be a day where somebody in downtown Edmonton is making a vehicle maintenance decision for 10,000 cars that aren't owned by an individual. So the one thing that so far people talk about is if you're in the tire and suspension business, it'll likely be the least disrupted of all. You know, like when I sit on that automotive industry council, you think about people in the oil business and things like that. If the internal combustion engine's gone, we've got challenges. So it's on our radar. We don't want to overreact to it, but we want to start to do a few things along those lines. So we think about it quite a bit. Thanks for your question. We've had it in various parts but scaling it up. We've never really scaled it up. We have experience in doing it, where that could be a business, that particular truck. And we're looking at it right now in Ontario. We actually, for one of the first times, we have a leader. He has a team. He has a truck. We just don't have a building for him. And so in the meantime, he's doing more and more of that. So yeah, that's definitely is an opportunity, especially in metropolitan markets where the real estate's so expensive. Thanks. Sorry if I didn't get.
They
Did
will
you?
be staying behind to answer questions.
Yeah.
They've got some time afterwards, so if you want to discuss it one-on-one, have more questions, they'll be around for a bit. Thank you so much for joining us today.
For
Your
the opportunity.
insights, small gift.
Oh, wow. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.